Connecting Acle to Great Yarmouth, the Acle Straight is a long stretch of road that has long connected the Broadland market town to the seaside, and is probably the only stretch of road in the UK that doesn't have a McDonald's drive-through. While this natural spirit level of terrain allows drivers to pass through the misty marshes and take in the expansive patchwork of farmland, it also hosts some truly terrifying sights for unexpected travellers. I'm Bleaki, and today we'll tell you about the ghosts of the Acle Straight, an inescapable 9-mile stretch of road which replaced the tragic death of an unfortunate soul, the location of a wild party that is cursed to play on for eternity, and the whistling man who was unaware that he passed through the veil between life and death many years ago along the Strait. The road, also known as the Acle New Road, was first built as a turnpike road following an Act of Parliament which allowed a new road to be built through the marshes. This shortened the distance between Great Yarmouth to Norwich by 3 miles. The road was staked out in 1830 with ditches created on each side 37 feet apart. Layers of willow brushwood, soil from the ditches and gravel created the first road. To add to its aesthetics, rows of willow trees were planted on either side which still watch over the road to this day. The road was completed in April 1831 except for a layer of broken stones and shingles, and was opened later that year as a toll road. Here are some pretty trees, now give us some money please. As the name gives away, the road is satisfyingly straight other than a single curve where the Hargate branch road joins it, which includes a wind pump and a humped bridge. It was in this location, which is infamously treacherous and has claimed many lives in its 193-year history, that chilling paranormal activity has been reported. A driver was passing the turnoff when he saw a middle-aged man step out into the centre of the road from the right-hand side into the path of the car. The driver stamped his feet on the brake, but it was too late. The figure turned to look at the driver, who knew in that moment he was going to take a life. Once the car came to a screeching halt, the driver leapt out. In that moment he asked himself how he didn't notice the man before. He also thought about how he had not heard or felt any impact as he ran through the unfortunate traveller. Trembling, he looked back, but to his surprise, saw nobody, just the empty stretch of road. He checked the sides of the roads extensively, expecting to see a mangled body, but he found nothing. 18 months after the Hargate spirit was reported, a man named Bill Richardson was driving on the AAL Bypass at around 7 AM when he too saw a middle-aged man step out in front of his car. In an interview Bill gave shortly after, he said that the figure appeared to be wearing some sort of shiny uniform and swinging their arms as if they were marching. At this very moment, another early morning traveller heading down the carriageway in the opposite direction also sharply stopped. Bill realised this had to be more than just a coincidence, and after a couple of minutes he managed to pull himself together and walked over to the other driver who still hadn't moved. Bill asked the young lady why she suddenly stopped. To his shock, she described seeing the marching man step in front of Bill's car and simply vanish, like a train ploughing through a smoky tunnel. Bill later said in the interview that it was certainly a weird experience for him, and the fact that the woman also saw the same exact thing made it all the more strange. Since then, others have sighted a ghostly figure walking along the side of the road and appearing in front of cars before vanishing. To this day, the identity of the mysterious marcher has never been discovered, although he is believed to be the spirit of a soldier who attempted to walk the stretch of road when the mists of the marshes swept over the Acle stretch on a dark moonless night and never made it to the other side. This isn't the only ghost haunted this stretch of road, however, with drivers also reporting the sight of a phantom horse and cart crossing the road into the path of oncoming vehicles. Just like the man before, drivers pass right through the entity. Other times, drivers have reported having the sudden impulse to brake violently for no reason, as if their instincts have malfunctioned and believe that they are going to crash into something that just isn't there. On the 26th of May 2022, the Eastern Daily Press published an article by Stacia Briggs and O'Connor called "Have You Seen a Whistling Ghost of the Acle Straight?" This article shared a strange experience from the early 1960s at Braden Water, which is the UK's largest protected wetlands near the end of the strait, close to the coast. The online article was about a letter received from a man named J.B. Hawkins, who shared the chilling experience he had in the early 60s when he and two friends were close to the Acle Straight. He said that in the winter of 1962, he and his friends were going shooting on the north side of the Strait. As it was getting dark and no shooting had happened yet, they crossed the Braden side of the road and marvelled at how completely frozen over the lake was. You see, just before Christmas 1962, the entire country sat under a blanket of snow, with Norfolk dipping to temperatures that would make a snowman want an electric blanket. At the time, which was the coldest winter on record since 1740, rivers froze over, ships were trapped in the ice, phone lines became frozen, and train tracks turned locomotives into bobsleds. Wildlife suffered due to the Arctic conditions, which was probably the reason why Mr. Hawkins hadn't managed to shoot at the time of reaching the water. After spending some time looking for pheasants to shoot and having no luck, the group became conscious that the weather was getting worse. Mr. Hawkins and his friends Bill and Arthur decided that it was probably best to go back as the snow began to fall. The three of them started making their way back to the main road when a sinister whistle pierced through the blizzard of snow. "Did you hear that?" asked JB, to which both Bill and Arthur said yes. The three of them stared towards the water, the direction the whistle was coming from. As they focused, all three of them felt a pit in their stomach as they saw a man walking across the frozen lake, whistling. What struck them as odd was that he was wearing ordinary street clothes and a trilby hat, with no item of clothing protecting him from the harsh elements. They watched as he walked about 10 feet away from them over the ice, before he faded into the wind-swept abyss. The three men called out to the man, but got no response, only the sound of the sinister whistle slowly getting quieter before going silent. All three of them were in shock, and felt there was something definitely unnatural about what they had seen. They rushed back to the road and went straight home to call the police station to tell them what had happened. The next day they called back to see if the man was ever found or if anyone else reported seeing the whistling man, but nobody had. Years later, JB got into a conversation with an assistant church warden at his local church and told him his story. After finishing, he asked the man, "So what do you think?" The man calmly replied, "Oh, that's easy. You saw a ghost?" He went on to explain that the stretch of water had claimed many lives over the centuries, some by accident and others by choice. While the whistling man was never identified, what is widely agreed is that the spirit is unaware that he lost his life within the waters of Braden, still casually strolling along, whistling his favourite tune. In another article posted on the 7th of April 2022 on the Eastern Daily Press, another strange account was shared, this time by a mother and daughter driving down the Acle Straight towards Yarmouth during an early winter evening in 1979. Tina was a keen dancer who would often spend weekends travelling to London with her mother to dance. For miles the road stayed the same, just a stretch of concrete cutting through the darkness. That is until their attention was drawn to a Grand Regency Georgian style house that wasn't quite a mansion, with 3 large trees in front of it which looked like poplars. The mother slowed down so both of them could get a better look. Inside they could see the silhouettes in many of the windows. It was clear that there was a party, as they could see people holding glasses and couples dancing. The 12-year-old daughter Tina commented on how fun the party looked, while her mother commented on how beautiful the house was. The two looked forward to seeing the house the next time they passed down the road. When they did find themselves on the Acle Straight again, however, they were confused to not spot the stunning house in the same location they had seen it previously, or anywhere along the 9-mile stretch of road for that matter. No house, no party, no trees, not even a ruin. Was this an echo of a legendary night many years ago, or maybe a time slip? I've tried looking back at some of the old Ordnance Survey maps to see if there could be a house or ruin from the 1700s that is detailed in the area close to the Vauxhall Holiday Park, which is the location Tina said she saw the house, but the earliest I could find is from 1884, 50 years after the road was completed, and I can't find anything other than old farmhouses. In fact, Tina did say that she saw a ruined building near the site, but this was obviously an old farm building and was nothing like what they had seen. So, has the Acle Straight collected several spirits since its time and even before it was laid, including a whistling ghost and a Gatsby-esque party that keeps the good times rolling for eternity? Or could driver fatigue or isolation within the darkness be responsible for playing tricks on the minds of the drivers? If you enjoyed this video, please support the channel by hitting the subscribe button and ringing the notification bell. I have also noticed that more of you guys are jumping in the comments section in the last few videos, and I really enjoy listening to your thoughts on the videos and about your own experiences, so feel free to leave more comments. And until next time, sleep well, friends.